Do not buy SK Hynix until you have watched all of this. I have a ton of information here because if you're looking at buying it, since it's now listed on the US exchanges, NASDAQ, for the first time ever, you now have the opportunity to buy arguably the largest AI memory supplier out there. They actually are the #1 HBM memory supplier, which is one of the main critical memory components to all AI chips out there. And we're going to talk about, is it a buy or should you pass? And we're also going to talk about a strategy if you decide you do want to buy. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. We're also going to talk about everything you need to know about as it's listed, what's going to happen with it on the market. And we're going to talk about the SK Hynix business. I'm going to explain to you everything you need to know about their business so that you can make an informed decision about if this is right for you. If you're new to me, my name's Austin. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. The like button helps. Please, please, please hit that. It doesn't cost you anything, and I would greatly appreciate it. And if you like what I'm doing here, hit subscribe. Okay, so as SK Hynix is hitting the NASDAQ, it's coming out. They're looking to raise $28 billion. SK Hynix is to use for capital expansion, fabrication, all that kind of stuff going in. Okay, coming out at a $1 trillion market cap. Approximately their market share of HBM is arguably between about 57 to 62%, depending upon which metric you use. It is up 700% on the 1-year rally. The buy case, it does own most of the HBM memory. Its two other main competitors obviously are Micron and Samsung, but SK Hynix is the #1 in that space. We're going to talk about other components, key accounts that SK Hynix has, etc. 2026 supply is already sold out of their AI memory, and they are, just like Micron, just like Samsung, building new memory fabrication facilities as we speak. This is the first direct U.S. access you've ever had to be able to buy this, and it is the biggest debut from an IPO standpoint since SpaceX. The revenue has tripled since 2023 to 2025. Okay, so the trap case, the scenario of, hey, is this a good buy or not? It's already up 700%. I like to give you both sides of the coin. That's why I'm doing this. This says right here that memory is deeply cyclical. I actually disagree with this. This is coming from AI and from various AI systems that I use to help me generate these infographics. I think that the fundamental nature of SK Hynix and Micron's business have changed because of the strategic customer agreements that they're both signing. We know that Micron signed 16 of them worth $100+ billion, and SK Hynix is signing those as well. SK Hynix, I'm assuming you know this, is 50% up in their upper right-hand corner, number 3. 50% of their business is coming in from NVIDIA, okay? And 30 to 40% of their total company revenue likely comes from NVIDIA. Now, this is 50% of SK Hynix's HBM market is coming from NVIDIA, and 30 to 40% of their total is coming from NVIDIA. Okay, so I don't really believe that memory is deeply cyclical because, again, the nature here, what we're talking about. Remember, we have a massive shortfall against demand for all AI memory, period, from Micron, SK Hynix, and Samsung, okay? And they're going to manage that accordingly, associated going on the go-forward basis. Again, we talked about heavy reliance on NVIDIA. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing because NVIDIA is not going to dump them tomorrow. You can't just magically move away from and go to a different, HBM or other types of memory supplier, depending upon your needs. So NVIDIA cannot drop SK Hynix at the drop of a dime and say, okay, now we're going to go and buy from Micron. That's just not how it works because of the long production cycles, different tailored chips and the manufacturing runs and setting them up and all that kind of stuff. And then right here, the valuation leaves little margin. Look, that could be argued, okay? But the valuation for Micron leaves little margin. The value, so forth and so on. AMD, Intel, NVIDIA. We are in kind of uncharted territories. Wall Street has never seen anything like what we're seeing as far as the valuations and the run-ups that we've seen in a lot of these companies. I'll remind you that SanDisk is up 4,500+% in the last 1 year, actually beating out Micron and SK Hynix as far as percentage gains. Okay, so as far as strategy, should you buy it or not? Look, I am not buying SK Hynix when it debuts on the NASDAQ. I'm not doing that. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see what's happening, and then I'm going to see how the valuation looks. And then over a period of time, next week or two, plus I'm going to DCA in, I'm going to dollar cost average in. Yes, I know I might get in a little bit higher than what it debuts on the NASDAQ. But again, the volatility associated with that and historical records kind of show you that buying on the day that an asset lists is not always a good thing. You tend to want to kind of see and pick it up. I mean, it's similar, but same. Look at what happened with SpaceX. Went up about, I think, 25 or 30%, and has since dropped back. Okay. And again, I'm not saying that they're similar. I'm just talking about a strategy. So there you now know my strategy of what I'm planning on doing. Okay. So when SK Hynix does debut on the NASDAQ, and this says tomorrow, but actually it's today, okay? Because I built this yesterday, this infographic, but everything is still the same. What you need to know is demand is 7x over what the supply is. The amount of shares that are going to be listed on the NASDAQ is 7 times less than what's wanted. So that shows you that there's a ton of demand here, okay? And that there is a lot of people out there that want to buy and they want to own SK Hynix, which I think is going to drive the price up. I think that these numbers you see here are very, very, very conservative, okay? I really do believe that. Okay, so this is building kind of the opening price scenarios. It's expected to go out at 149 per share. There is strong institutional demand, and I think that you're going to see institutions buying this as well. Okay. The week open is if it kind of expects and goes out at 145 to 149. A base case is probably more like 150 to 158. That's about a 50% probability. Okay. A strong opens 159 to 170. So it's going to be priced at approximately 149, but we want to see it come out and go to 150, 158 and or higher, from there. If we go above 170, which I think is possible, that's going to be a very, very bullish open. Okay. Again, kind of what happens after the opening matters. I think we're going to see it open very, very bullish. Okay. So we will see kind of how it plays out on Friday. I think hopefully Friday we end above 170. But look, we simply don't know. And I'm going to bring you back to that 7x number. There is so much demand for this that you're going to see a lot of volume, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Okay. So yeah. All right. So let's talk about SK Hynix's business. Let's talk about their business so that you understand and have more of maybe knowledge about what it is, how their business is structured, and what it is kind of that they do. I know you know that they make memory, but here's what you need to understand. They are right here in the upper left-hand corner, number one. They're the global, let me zoom in on that for you a little bit. Is that better? Okay. Yeah, okay, that's good. They're the global leader in AI memory, HBM, high bandwidth memory. Okay. This is the critical memory used in AI accelerators from companies like, obviously, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, Broadcom, so forth. So you can see as far as HBM goes, they have 58+% of the HBM market. Samsung has 28% and Micron has 14% of that particular that particular market. Every advanced AI GPUs needs HBM. Without HBM, NVIDIA cannot ship its AI chips. Now, there are other types of AI memory. There is NAND, DRAM, all those kind of things. And Samsung and Micron have differing percentages, and SK Hynix has different percentages in that. Okay. Continuing on. Number two, NVIDIA is their biggest customer with their different chip lines. The H100, H200, Blackwell, Rubin is their next generation. NVIDIA and SK Hynix have a multi-year technology partnership to co-develop future generations of AI memory, which brings me back to this point. Yeah, it's heavy reliance on NVIDIA demand, but it's not going anywhere. And they have a key strategic relationship. All right. So it's a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar agreement. Number three, we've gone over this. This is how much of their business comes from NVIDIA. 30 to 40% of their total company revenue likely comes from NVIDIA. 50+% of their HBM revenue comes from NVIDIA. Now, there's a key risk there. Yes, I know high customer concentration, but NVIDIA is the number one chip designer out there and obviously has the biggest brand name. Okay, so number four, over on the left-hand side right here, key strategic customers. They supply memory to the world's largest technology and cloud companies. I mean, you see every single major brand here. And obviously, we've covered NVIDIA, AMD, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta, all of them are here. Apple, Dell, plus many more AI server makers, hyperscale cloud providers, and enterprise customers. So there's a multiple segments here, right? There's the big hyperscalers, there's cloud providers, and there is enterprise customers. Okay, number 5, they are more than just AI memory. SK Hynix is one of only 3 companies in the world that manufactures leading edge DRAM at scale. DRAM, HBM, NAND, enterprise SSDs, mobile memory, automotive memory. Remember, Micron has locked up deals with General Motors and Ford, okay, because they have physical manufacturing facilities here in the US. SK Hynix does not, okay. So their biggest competitive advantage, it's not number 6, it's not just that SK Hynix makes memory, it's why they lead. They are first to market with advanced HBM, right here above where my picture is. Industry leading manufacturing yields, best in class packaging technology, works directly with NVIDIA years before new GPU launches. Created a significant technology lead over competitors for HBM. Okay. So number 7, down on the lower left-hand quarters, why investors love SK Hynix. Many investors love them because they are the, quote, purest AI infrastructure memory play. Pure exposure to AI memory supercycle, highly leveraged for AI server growth, benefits disproportionately when HBM prices rise. Remember, they are raising their prices as we go along because of the manufacturing shortfall that cannot simply meet the demand from their key strategic customers, right? NVIDIA, AMD, Google, so forth and so on, Dell, all that kind of stuff. They have very high pricing power due to tight HBM supply, just like Micron has very high pricing power because of the tight supply for their chips as well. Okay, number 8, in the middle, biggest risks to watch. We keep coming back to this. I don't think it's as big of a thing as people want to make it out to be. Their reliance on NVIDIA. I do not believe that memory is as much as it is or was a cyclical industry. Wall Street loves to kind of trot that little pony out and go, okay, look, it's cyclical. I think the strategic customer agreements that all of these companies have put into place is changing the nature of that how memory is a cyclical business. Historically, that is true. That's how it was. Okay, Samsung and Micron are rapidly expanding into HBM capacity. Yes, they are. Okay, but not SK Hynix is not going to lose 10, 15, 20% of the HBM memory, global memory market share back in the upper left-hand corner here overnight. It's simply not going to happen. Okay, it's just not how the market works. And then back to number 8. If AI spending slows, pricing and margins could decline. We always like to hear, I think that one's worth talking about. Remember, I've talked about that in a lot of videos. The issue you need to watch for is if we start to hear from the hyperscalers, the cloud serving companies, like Nebius, CoreWeave, things of this nature, and or the enterprise clients, the big clients. If we start to hear from any of those 3 segments that CapEx expenditures, the billions and billions and billions of dollars and ultimately trillions of dollars over a period of time that they're going to spend, if they start to say that, hey, we're looking to scale back on some of this stuff, that's when you need to look at it and start to kind of go, oh, okay, there may be something here as far as number 8 right here in the middle, where if AI spending slows, pricing and margins could decline. But I will bring you back to the fact that we have a supply shortage, period. Okay. They physically cannot make as much. And AI spending is expected to reach 750 billion this year, 1.5 trillion in 2027, over 5 trillion in 2030, and over 7 trillion in 2033. Those numbers are not really going to change, because I'll remind you that for the hyperscalers, enterprise clients, they are viewing the AI build out as an arms race, because they cannot be viewed, none of them can be viewed as losers in that. And so thus they have to spend those dollars. These are real CapEx dollars. Well, this is kind of like the dot-com bubble. No, it's not. I was there. I'm 57 years old. I was there. I lived in and through and around the dot-com bubble. Every random company just stuck .com on the end of their name, and their valuations went up crazy. And these were, a lot of them were really, really horrible businesses. It is not the same thing. Okay. This is real dollars being spent on real capital expenditure outlays to build out infrastructure to facilitate the future generations of their companies. And do you think a company like Meta or Amazon or Microsoft is going to be viewed as a loser in the AI arms race. They simply are not going to, they're not going to let that happen. Okay. Okay. So the bottom line right down here in the right-hand corner is just talking about their business. The bull case. They're the number one HBM supplier. They have 58% of the HBM market. They're dominant supplier to NVIDIA, the world's largest chip manufacturer. They are direct beneficiary of the global AI infrastructure boom that I just talked about. They have significant pricing power and due to tight supply. But let's talk about the bear case. Okay. Again, high dependence on NVIDIA. I don't think that's as big of a thing as people want to make it. The memory is not cyclical. So I think that those two kind of are negated. They are going to get increased competition from Micron and Samsung specifically in the HBM place. I don't see that being a huge problem over time because, again, it's not like they're going to steal a bunch of that business from SK Hynix because remember, these clients will not leave, just like Micron's clients will not leave them and come over to SK and vice versa. Okay. Because once you locked in a contract, then you go into a manufacturing cycle for that chip that has that specs and all that has to be built out. And you simply cannot change that from a manufacturing cycle. You cannot change that easily and go, okay, I'm going to go over to that supplier now. Okay. AI spending normalization could pressure pricing and margins. I do think that's real. I think if we start to see or hear that, that AI spending is going to start slowing, which we're not hearing anything like that, then that's where we're going to start looking at maybe, okay, some of these valuations for Micron, SK, and all that kind of stuff could be looking to change. Okay, so that's something you need to be aware of. All right. So, okay, so there you go. So should you buy SK Hynix or not when it debuts and or later down the road? I'm not buying it when it debuts. I am going to be buying it later down the road because I want to own SK Hynix just like I own Micron, all that kind of stuff. Okay, if I could own Samsung directly, I would. Now, if you don't feel that you can afford these, remember you can buy the Round Hill Memory ETF. That ticker is DRAM, DRAM. If you want to go pick that one up, and I believe the shares are right around $59 or something like that. Okay, so before I let you go, look, I got to make you an offer. Okay, and that's simply this. This is Micron's chart right now. Every candle you see is 12 hours. You see these little green boxes and red boxes. Those are buy and sell alerts coming in. So this is a buy alert for Micron about 91 days ago. All the way up, you see these sell alerts and buy alerts coming in, and you see this blue box. In 91 days, Micron went up 242%. You see how the software said buy here, sell, buy, and over a period of time, you can see how everything came in, the buy and sell alerts, 242%. What this is it's technology that runs on your iPhone, runs on your Android, it runs on your computer. It tells you when to buy and sell any stock that you want to. By the way, it also works for crypto. Okay, so like AMD, Intel, you can use this anywhere in the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it tells you and gives you insight. It literally will send you a little pop-up to your phone, alert. It says buy SK Hynix or sell SK Hynix or buy Micron or sell Micron. Okay, so, and it takes the blinders off because right now you don't know when to buy or sell and lock in and make the most profit. How would you like to have made 242% buying and selling Micron or, AMD or Intel, SK Hynix or whatever, SanDisk, whatever it may be? That's what the software does. Okay. It runs dirt cheap as far as price. It's $1.10 a day to use. There's a link in the description below. I'll even pin a link down in the comments for you to get as well. But the description, it's in the description. Okay. And there's a discount code down there. It will take you to my website, X1 Algo. That's the name of my software. And buy the monthly or quarterly plan. Look, there's a 30-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. What does that mean? You try it for 30 days. You don't like it, you cancel and get a refund instantly. Additionally, in the members area, there is live training every week, and there is a private chat community where people, coaches that are helping you, everything is there for you. And I'm asking you for about $1 a day. That's what I'm asking you for. Try it. Okay. You have zero risk in this equation. And I just showed you literally live. Here it is working. You see it. In the last 91 days, this is how it works. Okay. And you can see how it gave a sell alert up here for Micron before Micron dropped. You see that? That's how it is. It minimizes your exposure and your risk associated with that down move as well as telling you when to buy and sell as it's going up so that you can make those profits and put those profits in your trading account, in your bank account. And that's how it works. Links are right down there. Go get it. Thanks for giving me a few minutes, and good luck with SK Hynix. And I'm going to be buying some as well. All right. I'll see you.